What's up? What's up, guys? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining for the open house. I'm here with my friend Takoda Madrona on Instagram, takoda.madrona, and we have a workshop going on today. So on the online school, we've been streaming all day, working on some sculpture and some hollow work. So we're going to share this with you for about 20 minutes or so. If you want to see the rest of it, please go to revereglass.com and sign up for the workshop. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up, click those notifications and subscribe so that you can know when we do more cool stuff. I'll pass it over to Takoda. Again, I want to thank you so much. It's an honor having you. And yeah, this is our YouTube friends and family.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dustin.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to, if you guys could give a hand, why don't you give a hand at home, give a hand for Dustin. But thank you guys so much, and thank you, Dustin, for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Welcome to our open house. We're having a little open house today. Like he mentioned earlier today, we were doing our workshop. I'm working on a giant insect, a praying mantis. I've got kind of a little rough schematic here, but I was just trying to show people the general shapes and stuff I'm going to start putting together. But generally, I'm making this big, giant insect, and I've made a couple of them. I've made wasps, I've made ants, I've made praying mantis, and one of my ants and my most recent praying mantis were actually the winners of the second and first, or second place and first place in Champs 2017 and 16. So today I'm kind of making a replication of one of those pieces. In the morning, I've been working on a lot of the legs, arms, all that, and I only have one leg left to make. Actually, I think I finished it all. 1 second, let me check the kiln. I finished it all. So I actually have all the sections ready to go. So during the open house, I think I'm just gonna start sticking some legs together and getting them ready to go into the main piece. As I'm doing that, you guys can feel free to ask some questions. I'll start answering questions and we'll have some fun. And in between, whatever I'm doing, piecing the legs together and stuff, if there's something else I can show you, I'll try to do that. So let me know if you have any questions, and enjoy seeing everything go down. I'll get the torch going and stop talking. But please let me know if you have any questions at all.
Yep.
I'm always happy to answer.
Yep, feel free to ask questions. I'll relay them. I'll repeat them for people who watch the open house later, and then I'll relay them to Takoda. So yeah, anything that you want. There was a really interesting lecture on the thermodynamics of glass and how molecules move around, which is, we used some interesting metaphors if you want to check out the test stream from last night. And if you have any questions now, feel free to ask. And there's 24 people in the room. 7 likes so far. I think you guys can do a little bit better than that. We really appreciate the likes. So,
yo, smash that like button.
All right, Jesus, or Jesus, however you like to be called. I appreciate the compliment on the hoodie. That's the embroidered Revere hoodie. You can grab that at revereglass.com. All right, they're happy to see you. And they're believing you. They're giving us some clapping hand emojis. And Jesus Meister would like to know how you got it started. Like, what were some of your first experiences? How'd you get into it?
All right, so it's a common question, is like how glass blowers get into glass blowing. And the common answer from all glass blowers, I'll make my way over there so I'm on camera, but I'm just fiddling with, I'm on camera, yeah. But I'll get on a better camera. But it's a common question, a common answer to most people is that they stumble into it. A lot of glass blowers, they just kind of stumble into it. They find somebody and they're like, oh, this is cool, and they keep working on it. Now, how I ran into it, I was 16. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and at that point, not a lot of people know what they want to do. But I was living in a place I wasn't really super stoked on, and I was just looking for a way to get out. And on a vacation, I went on vacation to visit my brother back home in Vermont, which is where I live now. And at the time, I was living elsewhere. But I went on a vacation to Vermont. I stumbled into a smoke shop. They had a live glass blowing demonstration, and the fire and everything, it really caught my eye. And then I saw a couple of sculpted pieces made out of glass. And much like, when you go into the Natural History Museum or something like that, you go in there and you see, wow, people can make that stuff like out of this medium. Like, that's really impressive. And I tried to get my hands on every single medium I possibly could prior to ever finding glass. And a funny story I tell people sometimes is that, once upon a time ago, we had something called AOL CDs. So AOL was trying to drop these AOL CDs for free to everybody so they'd download AOL.com or whatever on their computer back in the, 90s, early 2000s. So you weren't really supposed to do this, but in Blockbuster, on my way out of Blockbuster, when those existed, I would grab full stacks of those CDs, and I found out that you could melt them together with a Bic lighter. So I started actually making sculptures, full-size sculptures, 2-foot sculptures, out of these melted AOL CDs. So I tried touching any medium that I could, and eventually, I did snow sculptures, all that stuff. You can probably see some of it online, but I've made full-sized deer out of snow. It's, things like that with all 4 legs, all that. So I've just dabbled in a lot of mediums, and that's my long-form version of answering this question. But the short term is basically, I stumbled on a glass studio. Eventually, I wanted to be a glass blower. And I stumbled onto a local glass studio when I left back to Vermont. I went on that vacation, and I went back to Vermont, and I stumbled on a glass studio where people were making glass. And in that process, I saw them with the fire and making things, and I basically just, I was really young, I was 16. So I really didn't have a way of getting into it. I went back to where I lived, and I couldn't find anywhere to actually work. So what I did was I actually used MySpace. So Facebook wasn't really a thing once upon a time ago. I think it existed at this point, but it wasn't super popular. But I was on MySpace, and I went on MySpace, and I basically just emailed every single person that I could find that had anything to do with glass blowing, and asked if they had something available to teach me lessons. And unfortunately, where I was, they didn't have anything. I didn't get any emails back. And then randomly, one person back in my local town, oddly, messaged me back and said, yeah, we offer lessons. So, if you come and pay, we're happy to teach you. So at 16, I made an agreement with my father. So he basically said, I will help pay. I'm 16, I haven't really, I had a job. I actually got a worker's permit at 14 because it was illegal to work in my state if you weren't 16. So I had a job and stuff, but I definitely didn't have the amount of money to move across state and live by myself and all this stuff. So my dad made this agreement with me, and he said, look, if you take some college courses, you graduate from high school early. I had to graduate from high school early. And you take some college courses in state, that legally gives you the loophole to live by yourself. So that will give you the opportunity to get out of here. So I said, okay. And I joined the public adult school at 16 that was attached to Wahiawa, Hawaii. The bus called it Wahiawa, but it's Wahiawa. So I went to Wahiawa, Hawaii, and I now have a high school diploma from Hawaii, Wahiawa Public School. I used that diploma to go to community college up in Vermont, which is where I'm from. And using that, my father did that agreement and said, okay, I'll pay for your glassblowing lessons. So I went and I learned my first couple glassblowing lessons for a few months. I took a few years off to go back and forth from back home, help my family. I legally had to pick up my diploma in person. I couldn't have it mailed to me, so that was that whole thing. So to go back, pick up my actual diploma, and then right around when I was 18, I was legally allowed to actually work in the place where I was learning how to glassblow. So I went back and I asked them, hey, can I have a job? I would like to sell pipes. And they said, nope, but we're looking for glassblowers. You could try to make pipes. And I said, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. I only took a couple classes, but I'll do my best. And basically since then, that's all she wrote. Just kept dominoing from there. I took a couple classes. They gave me the opportunity to start working for them. Originally, I was renting equipment and renting space for like 30 or 40 bucks a day. That, translated into finally getting a job, doing some custom work, and then I started teaching lessons. Taught lessons for about 5 years while doing custom work and repairing bongs. I'd say doing the lessons and repairing glass really gave me a lot of the experience I needed for the fundamentals and a wide range of things to do, also the custom work. And then bada bing, bada boom, I got all my stuff together to run my own studio. I very slowly acquired the savings account to purchase my own kiln, purchase my own torch. I actually purchased my torch off of Daniel coil condenser. So I bought my torch off him. I bought a kiln off of Mountain Glass. It's a Paragon kiln, one of the few that has a Mountain Glass logo strapped to it. And yeah, so I got my equipment, started renting a place, and that's where I'm at now. So it's kind of the story of how I got into glass blowing and how I got where I am. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start attaching these things, but I got a little distracted. I got to look at a picture real quick. I'm going to start attaching all this stuff together. Yeah, my dad's okay. This guy says, your dad sounds awesome. He's pretty awesome. So I apologize for being on my phone while doing this thing, but I'm just looking at this picture to confirm my next step. And we Gucci. All right, so next step, let's connect these bad boys together. So I've got all these legs, and basically each of these is going to end up being a leg like so. Now the whole thing is made of Yoshi, and I'm actually going to use slime as the connectors. I think that might be pretty cool. But I'm going to connect them like this, and then that will be connected as my leg. So this will act kind of like the hip joint, or the first section of a leg. Then the leg comes down. So, and you'll see that once it all starts coming together, but generally the fusion is going to be like so. So first I'm going to stick a little bit of color onto my left-hand side, your right-hand side. I'm going to put a little color right here, actually right on the top, and then I'll attach these guys. So throw this in the kiln.
Madrona asks what torch you want.
The torch that I am currently running is called a Mirage. I personally at home use a Mirage as well. This is not my Mirage. I'm borrowing it from Dustin Revere. This is one of the newer snub nose Mirages. You'll see the barrel here is a little bit shorter. My barrel is probably about 2 inches longer, but it's the exact same torch. So the Mirage is a GTT torch, and it's, I believe it's 7 jets in the center, and I think 32 or 34 jets on the outside. While the other torches, I believe like the one above it is 7 in the inside and then like 46 or something on the outside, or 42. But basically, but it is called the GTT Mirage, and I use one at home, but it's very difficult for me to bring my torch anywhere because the Burlington International Airport is one of the very few airports that is not okay with propane lines being brought through check bags. You can talk to them about it, but everyone is a bit annoyed about it. Somebody asked, is the Phantom better? And I'll say no, that doesn't even make sense. The Phantom is similar, and I think that the Phantom is a great beginner torch. But the difference between the Phantom and the Mirage is basically you have the same center fire. You've got 7 jets in the center, but the outside of the Mirage is about 32 or 36 little jets, as opposed to the Phantom, which I think is something like 25 jets. So you just don't get quite as large of a flame. If you're gonna go big, kind of like what I'm doing today, it really can help you a lot to just have that little extra power. But it's not necessary, and I do think that the Phantom is a fantastic beginner torch. But I have always, and I will always tell people that the best thing that you can do is purchase the biggest torch that you can afford. And it's not so that you can have the biggest flame, but it's because the bigger the torch you get, the nicer torch you get, the more variable of flames you can get. I'm also a big fan of GTTs for that reason. But this is a conversation that goes on and on and on, and I'm sure if you talk to somebody that rocks a Carlisle or all those things, they'd probably have a lot to say to me about it. But I'm a GTT guy. I grew up a GTT guy. I'll always be a GTT guy. And the Mirage is slightly bigger than the Phantom. So you would prefer the Mirage over the Phantom. My dream torch is the Delta Mag Elite, or the Delta Mag. It's basically my torch, except it has a 3rd set of rings around it. And I'm actually pretty sure maybe Dustin's is the Elite over there, or that's the Samurai, I can't tell. But if I were to upgrade, it would be either the Elite, the Mag, the Delta Mag, not the Delta Elite. The Delta Elite, the joke is the only reason to have a Delta Elite is just so you can say you've got a bigger torch than the Mirage. You really don't need a Delta Elite. But my general, I would love to have a Delta Mag one day, which is basically just a bigger version of this. Being a little bit too much of a perfectionist about it, but I just added a little bit of stuff on top of there to connect up to That's blah, 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 and delta over all is the best elite and man. That doesn't even make sense. What? I'm not even gonna bother. So now I'm kind of just imagining in my head how this is going to sit on my piece. All right, so now I'm connecting my legs together, and I'm going to have to do this a couple times. It's on the back side.
So I just wanted to check in with everybody and let you guys know that we'll be on the open house for another 5 minutes or so. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do so. And if you want to see more, just go to revereglass.com, and we're happy to have you for the rest of the workshop. And anyone who signs up for the workshop additionally gets 30 days access to whatever information is in the workshop to the videos.
So what I'm doing here is I'm connecting these two sections. What's the most important about connecting sections is that you want to match the temperature between them. Get your squish, get your stick. Don't squish too much. And then give a little bit of a pull. You want to get it almost right where you want it, then you give it a tiny pull. And that should give you a good connection on your piece. And remember, I put a little cold tack on the bottom here. It's solid here. So I should be able to just snap that bad boy off just like that, now that I have my seal. And you're starting to see how that leg's coming together. That's one of 4 legs. So I did get that seal really nice. I'm proud of it. I'm good. The bottom of it looks like I feel like I have a tiny bit of a hard edge. For those that don't know what a hard edge is, it's kind of like instead of feeling something smooth, like you could slide a knife over, you know, something smooth, you can just glide over. Instead, it's something that you could nearly fit a knife into. It's this little crevice. So that's a hard edge. So you're gonna go in there, I'm gonna use this little flame, use my small torch, and I'm gonna polish down that little hard edge just to make sure it's perfect. Because those hard edges, that's what's gonna wanna break if it cools down and then gets reheated. It's also what's gonna wanna break if it hits the ground or you give it some sort of bumpity bump. So you need to get rid of those hard edges and make it one piece of glass. I also just like to polish off any seal. You know, you do any seal when you're moving glass. If glass is hot and you're moving it and then it stops, at some point that glass was moving while it wasn't completely molten, and it tends to create stress. I can explain that a lot better with a bend, but you can create stresses in glass very easily, and you won't even notice them. So it's very good to be able to go in there and polish off anything that you were working. So that is, let's see what camera I'm at, perfect. And that is my first leg. And I gotta do that 4 more times. Luckily, I've got all the parts ready. So I'm getting that done. So here's one, throw them in the kiln. We'll just keep it going. So we got a couple more minutes of the open house. Should I say goodbye?
We'll go till 4:50, so we have another 4 minutes or so.
4 minutes, okay.
Or we can just cut it off now.
No, it's all
You guys
good.
want us to cut off now or another 4 minutes?
Yeah, let's give you guys 4 minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions, something quick, I'm happy to answer. It does look like somebody asked me, what are your thoughts on the Herbie? I've never actually used a Herbie. I have 0 thoughts on a Herbie. You're gonna have to ask Herbie about Herbie.
They're good. You guys, they're a really good torch.
Yeah, Dustin will tell you they're good. I can say I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
But I just personally have no experience. So that's probably a better answer I can give you. I've just never touched one, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Why don't you guys go ahead and check out the Emily Marie Glass video. She used the Herbie, and there's an open house on YouTube that you can check out for free, or the Revere Glass, of course, has the whole workshop. But that's the Herbie that we have here in the shop. It's a great torch. I would recommend Herbert Arnold or GTT as your first choice, depending on what kind of work you want to do.
And the quick stuff.
Oh yeah, this is Matthew Collin. He asked this a little earlier, and I couldn't ask you, but he's asking basically like, how do you price your work? Because he feels like he undersells himself, and he wants to know like how. And this is a very common question that we
it's a
get
common and difficult question for all glass blowers as far as the pricing yourself. That's a complicated one and a hard one, man. I'm gonna try that. Like honestly, I could have a 6-hour conversation with you about this, but I'll try to like real quickly just give you something, and I'll tell you that there are different markets. There are just different markets, and wherever you're landing in that market, you just have to play the game to compete against your competitors. There are tons of markets out there. Feel like you're, and as far as the underselling yourself and stuff like that, truth be told, man, I literally have gotten an email. This was a long time ago, but I was given an email. Somebody emailed me and said, dude, I love your pendant. Like, how much is this pendant? And it was one of my Filicellos a long time ago, and I said, it was like a special one that had some like opals on it or something like that. Most of my pendants, the Filicello ones, were all sold at, in store for around $200, $250. This one was $300, and I messaged him and I said, yeah, it's $300. If you'd like it, you're welcome to grab it. He replied with, oh, I was looking for something more like 1,000. I'm looking for a heady pendy. That's the most ridiculous email I feel like I've ever gotten.
I feel like there's some truth to that.
There is some truth to that, though.
But and I think you should sell your work for as much as you can.
Exactly. And Dustin's getting to where I'm getting at, where the pricing is a little bit more arbitrary than people think.
Yeah.
It is much more about what you want to sell and for how much. You put it out there, and you know what? If it doesn't fucking work, it doesn't work. But the thing is the price is almost what makes people want it. So if you feel like you're undercharging and you're just not selling enough, maybe that's exactly it. Is just maybe charge a little bit more, tell people it's exclusive.
Yeah,
exclusivity
that's
is important.
Yeah, let people know why it's special.
That's
exactly. Really important. Like, let people know a little bit about yourself, breathe your own energy into it, let them know about the things that you've done and why this is a special thing that only they can get, but you want to be paid for your time and effort. And just because it took 3 hours or 4 hours to make a disc or a Filicello, that doesn't include the thousands of hours put in to get to that level. You want to get paid for your work, and you deserve to get paid for your work. So sell it for as much as you can.
I mean, fake it till you make it kind of plays a part in a lot of this. Like, even not to using the word fake lightly, but I used to tell people like that, like, you have this confidence and you just kind of put yourself out there and you go, this is it. And I've actually failed a lot because my peers, like my equivalent peers, not to say that I'm anywhere equivalent to them, but let's say Alderson, because he's been around. We're both similarly aged, similar amount of time in the industry, similar products. He's always charged more than I did. And that has hurt me in the long run. People think that my stuff, when you're charging less, people think that it's less exclusive. So why would they want it? You know, if something's a little more pricey, then people tend to actually feel like it's more exclusive and they want it more. Yeah, so don't be afraid to price your stuff a little higher. And a lot of the time, anytime I ever have priced things higher, things sold faster. It's very odd.
You might want to consider this too before we close out, but it's not uncommon for someone to make two brands or a sub-brand. If you need to put food on the table with glass and you need to make production pieces and get them out the door, make a company that does that and then use your name for the high-end work that you do on your own time for your creativity, that you don't care if it sells today or tomorrow or next week, but you want to get this price for it, and then make all your spoons with the sub-company.
Beautiful. And on that note, I can add to it from an experience from Creep Glass.
Yep.
He's CREEP.
Yep, he's a friend of ours.
He told me that, you know, he started out a lot like me, doing some basic lessons, yada, 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 doing production work. And he found himself, he said, you know, I would spend my whole week doing production work, and then I gave myself 45 minutes every week to do something that I really enjoyed and I felt was really, really more what I wanted to do. And then eventually, the 45 minutes he was spending on those things started making more money than the production. And thus he was able to make the swap.
Yep.
And now Creep is who he is, making his awesome bird stuff, and he no longer has to make those proto spoons. And,
super nice guy too.
and he's an amazingly wonderful human being.
Yeah. All right, you guys on YouTube, we're gonna go back onto the school and make it private again. So I just want to really thank all you guys for watching and tuning in. It's because of you guys that we're able to do this, and we're able to make this connection with you and bring you to this from anywhere in the world. I saw somebody from Austria, and there's people from all over the world. So I want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Welcome you guys to the channel anytime. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, subscribe, notifications. That stuff really helps. And yeah, if you want to say any goodbyes, please thank Kenzo. He's an amazing human that makes all this happen. So he's doing the cameras and making sure that the stream is smooth for you guys. So let's give Kenzo a big thank you, and Takoda thank you for coming out.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And yeah, truthfully, big thank you to Kenzo. He's making all this happen. Big thank you to Dustin for having us all here. And thank you all for participating, because if it wasn't for you guys, I'd be talking to a wall.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. And we'll have another video. There's no On the Torch video coming out tomorrow. This was your weekend video this week. And next weekend we'll have a new On the Torch video for you guys or something. All right, bye.